Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Core studio. Welcome to the show. So today's episode comes to you courtesy of my incredible patrons. Once a month, patrons vote on what commander they want to see in an upcoming episode, and the commander that gets the most votes wins. And the commander that they chose is Mr. House President and CEO, a 0/4 legendary artifact creature human for 3 mana in Mardu that says, whenever you roll a 4 or higher, create a 3/3 colorless robot artifact creature token. If you roll a 6 or higher, instead create that token and a treasure token. Am I paying 4? You can tap and roll a 6-sided die, plus an additional 6-sided die for each mana from treasures spent to activate this ability. So this commander, you can go in a couple of different directions. You can lean really heavily into basically every single kind of dice roll you can find, or you can lean heavily into, well, artifacts in general. You can lean heavily into treasures, and that's actually the direction I went for, rolling the dice with this commander itself, essentially looking to spend 4 mana on that as much as we can, so we get to roll 5 dice and hopefully hit it big, making a lot of robots, making a lot of treasures, and having some ways to manipulate that outcome potentially, and of course, to do it again and again and again. So yeah, it is quite the fun build, and also flexible when it comes to the actual, well, commander kind of that you are utilizing for this one. When it comes to these types of cards moving forward, when it comes to cards that are from Universes Beyond sets, I'm going to be working on the Proxy Promise. If you haven't seen my episodes on this, make sure you check them out. That being said, the Proxy Promise version of Mr. House President and CEO, you can see the actual name in the bottom right there as the reference card, is Jynx Starforge Broken Protocol. So if you are like me and aren't necessarily a Fallout fan or don't necessarily want to play with a Universes Beyond card, you've got an option. Here you go, Jynx Starforge Broken Protocol. Make sure you check out the link for the Dropbox. It is free for you to download, and then you can print wherever you can print, essentially. So there you go. You got a proxy version of this commander if Fallout isn't your thing. But now jumping into tactic number 1, we've got Barbarian class heading up as one of the 2 golden pigs, one of the 2 best cards in this deck. Usually I don't do more than 1 golden pig, but both of these are incredible in the deck because, let's just read the card. Barbarian class and enchantment class for a single red mana. If you would roll 1 or more dice, instead roll that many dice, plus 1, and ignore the lowest roll. Basically, doubling up our dice rolls and giving us the better one is huge. This heavily increases the chances that we hit a 4 or even a 6, essentially. And so by doing that, we can again get a lot more value out of our rolls from our commander. Level 2 helps us out as well. Whenever you roll 1 or more dice, target creature control gets +2/+0 and gains menace until end of turn. That could turn a very small creature into a very heavy hitting creature as well. Yeah, again, our goal is to roll basically 5 dice with our commander every single time we activate, so that can be +10, +0, and menace. And on top of that, level 3, creature control of haste. That can be great to be able to activate our commander's ability right away, and other creatures, being able to attack with them too. Next up, Wild Blade of Frontiers. Again, the 2nd golden pig, because it also says if you would roll 1 or more dice, instead roll that many dice +1 and ignore the lowest roll. So being able to add an extra dice in there, ignoring the lowest roll, that can really help us out a ton. And on top of that, whenever you roll 1 or more dice, put a counter on Wild Blade of Frontiers. And yeah, that's quite nice to be able to grow this throughout the game, to be able to help us out as well. But again, being able to adjust dice rolls can very much help us out throughout the game. Next up, though, so we want to do tactic number 2, do that again. Again, we want to be able to activate our commander as many times as we can with as many treasures as we can to get a lot of value out of our commander, and maybe some other triggers that might be happening that we'll get to in a bit. That being said, Manifold Key can very much help us out. Pay 1 tap, untap another target artifact, or pay 3 tap. Target creature can be blocked this turn. The unblockability is nice. What we really care about, again, is being able to untap our commander, which of course is an artifact so that we can activate it again. Voltaic Servant, another way to help us out, though. At the beginning of your end step, untap target artifact. So, of course, that can be our commander. Or, again, if our commander is not in play, maybe just one of our mana rocks to give us some extra mana to utilize. Dauntless Haven, yet another way to untap. A 2/1 Flying Bird Wizard for 3 mana. Attacks, untap target creature. you control. Typically with flying, that's good enough to get through on at least one opponent, which can really help us out. Then there's Sonic Screwdriver, a mana rock that can help us out as well. Artifact for 3, tap for 1 mana of any color, pay 1 tap to untap on a target artifact, pay 2 to tap to scry 1, pay 3 to tap, target creature can't be blocked this turn. A lot of great options, but again, yeah, it's a mana rock that can also untap our commander, which is huge. And finally, draw Scorpion, a 3/1 artifact creature for 4 mana. Whenever it or another artifact creature is put into a graveyard from play, you may untap target artifact, which of course does include those artifact creatures that we're going to be making with our commander, so definitely keep that in mind. Next up, tactic number 3, investments. Yeah, cards like Sticky Fingers can be great to make treasures throughout the game. It's an enchantment or that gives a creature menace, and when that creature hits, we make a treasure token. Hits a player, I should say. On top of that, when this creature dies, we draw a card, so at the very least, it's a cantrip for us. Moving on. Magda Brazen Outlaw. Pumps our dwarves, that's nice. Whenever another dwarf, or whenever any dwarf, I should say, becomes tapped, create treasure token. So if we attack with this, if we do anything with this, we're going to be making a treasure token. And by sacrificing 5 treasures, go tutor out a great artifact, or dragon, but yeah, artifact most likely. Put it on the battlefield, then shuffle your library, so that can be a really huge play. And then we've got yet another Magda, a 2/2 Dwarf Berserker for 2 mana. If we commit a crime, create a tap treasure token. Trigger only once each turn. We've got ways to commit crimes. We'll get to them in a little bit. That being said, sacrifice 3 treasures, make a 4/4 red Scorpion Dragon creature token with flying and haste. Activate only as a sorcery. That can be a win condition for us as well. Discerning Financier. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent controls more lands than you, create treasure token. Here's the thing. We're not in green. Chances are very likely that we're not going to have the most lands, so we'll be making some treasures with this. We can also pay mana, choose another player, give them a treasure to draw a card, so if we need to do that, we can. Then there's Gadrak, the Crown Scourge, a 5/4 that can attack unless we control 4 more artifacts. Beginning of our end step, we get a treasure token for each non-token creature that died this turn. So essentially, well, it can be a pretty heavy hitter for us when we need it to be, but also, yeah, we can actually make a good amount of treasures with this throughout the game, just as our creatures go here, there, and everywhere. Then there's Glowing Dwarf Emissary, a 3/3 that says, when you're casting a Sorc spell, create a treasure token. Triggers only once each turn. We do have a good amount of artifacts in this deck to trigger that. Also legendary creatures too. Tap, sacrifice a treasure, go target creature, which can be a great way for, well, basically having our opponents do our dirty work for us. Next up, Jan Jansen, Chaos Crafter, a 3/3 with haste. Tap, sacrifice an artifact creature, make 2 treasure tokens, or tap, sacrifice a non-creature artifact, make 2 1/1 Colors Contract artifact creature tokens. Either way, we are going up in our creature token production with this, or our token production, I should say, and being able to sacrifice creatures to make some treasures that can really help us out. Then there's Mahadi Emporium Master, a 3/3 devil that costs 3 mana in Rakdos. Beginning of your end step, make a treasure token for each creature that died this turn. Keep in mind, this one does not specify non-creatures, so that can be great for us. Does not specify non-token creatures, I should say. Ruthless Knave is next, a 3/2 Orc Pirate for 3 mana in black. Pay 3 mana in total, sacrifice a creature, make 2 treasures. So again, this is a repeat ability that can help us flood the board with treasures. It's great for us. Shiny Impetus can help us out as well in multiple ways. +2/+2 and goads the creature it's enchanting. On top of that, when the enchanted creature attacks, we get a treasure token. So throw this on an opponent's creature that you want to swing quite a bit, maybe even one that might get through on other opponents, and keep making a lot of treasures. Hoarding Ogre can help us out too, a 3/3 attacks, roll a d20, so again, that is going to trigger our commander right there with a d20, and on top of that, 1 through 9 make a treasure token, 10 through 19 too, and if we get really lucky, make 3 at 20. Rose Room Treasure can also make us a lot of treasures throughout the game. Whenever another creature you control enters, make a treasure token. It's the first or second time it's ability to resolve this turn, and again, when we are making those robots with our commander, that can happen quite a bit. Otherwise, we can pay X, and when we do, X damage to any target. So, yeah, we can also dish out a lot of damage with this. Finally, there's Life Insurance. We can extort to, well, not dish out damage, but dish out pain. Again, drain your opponents, gain a ton of life, and on top of that, whenever another non-token creature dies, we're going to be losing 1 life and making a treasure token. So, yeah, it's going to be well worth it. And, of course, we can pad the life total quite a bit with this. Next up, tactic number 4, Strike Gold. First up, we've got Impulsive Pilferer, a great low-to-the-ground creature that we don't really care if it gets taken out. Sorry, Impulsive Pilferer, a 1/1 Goblin Pirate for a single red mana. When it dies, make a treasure token. So yeah, replace it essentially. And on top of that, out of the graveyard, you can encore it basically to have it swing at everyone else and make 3 treasure tokens, which is huge. Smoke Spirit's Aid can help us when our opponent's creatures get taken out. For each of up to X or creatures, create a red or enchantment creature named Smoke Blessing attached to that creature. They have enchanted creature. When enchanted creature dies, 1 damage is controller, you gain a treasure token, which is quite nice. Lobelia Sackville Baggins, a 2/3 halfling citizen for 3 mana in black. Flash it in, menace. enters the battlefield, exile target creature card from an opponent's graveyard that was put there from the battlefield this turn, then create X tokens for X is the exiled card's power. Yeah, that can be quite a bit. Again, pick and choose your moment with this one and make a large creature that just got taken out into a massive amount of treasures. Speaking of that, indulge in excess. Sorcery for 3 mana. Whenever a creature attacks this turn, you make a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token that's tapped and attacking. So kind of, yeah, double up your army if you're swinging with everything. On top of that, excess aftermath out of our graveyard. Create a treasure token for each creature you control that deal combination with a player this turn. That is going to be a lot when we are swinging out. Spite for repossession can really help us out too. Sorcery for 5 mana. Deals damage to each opponent who controls more lands than you, equal to the difference. Then create a number of treasure tokens equal to the damage dealt this way. Again, we are not in green. Many of our opponents might be in green. When they are, they're going to have more lands than us, and because of that, well, we are going to be spiteful about it, hit them for a good amount, and make a lot of treasures. Speaking of which, we can use our own lands to make treasures too. Brass's Bounty, sorcery for 7 mana. For each land you control, create a treasure token. Again, even if it's just 1 land per each mana on this, that is, what, 7 treasures for 7 mana? That is a lot of value to be had. Speaking of which, hit the mother load. Sorcery for 7 mana, discover 10. Discovered card's mana value is less than 10. Create a number of tapped treasure tokens equal to the difference. Basically, a lot of value off the top, and if we hit something a little smaller, we make an absurd amount of treasures that can really help set us up for a big play. Moving on to tactic number 5, dig down, and dig down we shall with cards that can help us out with card advantage, and some that can help us out with treasures too, like Collector's Vault. Artifact for 2, pay 2, tap, draw a card, then discard a card, create a treasure token. That can help us out a ton throughout the game. Idol of Oblivion, tap, draw a card, only if you get a token this turn. We're going to create a lot of tokens throughout the game. And late game, if we need to, we can pay 8 tap, sacrifice this to make a 10/10 Eldrazi, which can be game ending. Treasure Map, say another one can help us out. Pay 1 tap, scry 1, so some good card selection there. Get landmark counters on this when we hit 3. Move them, make 3 treasure tokens, which is huge, and it flips into a great land for us that can tap for a color, or tap, sacrifice a treasure, draw a card. Lots of card advantage to be had with that one. Painful Truce, pay 3 mana into this of different colors. Very easy for us to do in this deck. Draw 3 cards, lose 3 life, very much worth it. Rumor Gatherer, a 2/1 elf wizard for 3 mana in white. Another creature enters the battlefield under control, scry 1. If it's the second time its ability is resolved this turn, draw a card instead. Again, with our commander making a lot of tokens, this is going to help us out a ton. Seize Spoils, discard 1 card, draw 2, make a treasure. Very simple, very effective. Decadent Dragon, our opponents can help us out too. The adventure side of this, Expensive Taste. Exile the top cards on our library face down. You can play them as long as they remain exiled. Thank you very much for that. 8/4/4 Flying Trampling Dragon though too. Whenever it attacks, we make a treasure token. This can help us out a lot throughout the game, just making us treasures. Pirate's Pillage, discard 1 card, draw 2 treasures. Very, very, very good for us. Inspired Tinkering, exile the top 3 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. Make 3 treasure tokens. That is a lot for us with that impulse draw. And then finally, Reign of Riches, ETB, make 2 treasures. On top of that, every single time we cast our first spell each turn, if we use treasure to spend on that, well, we get to cascade that spell, which can be a lot of value, a lot of free value for us. Moving on to tactic number 6, smash and grab. Yeah, we are going to be smashing some things and taking a lot of treasures. With that, Hell to Pay can help us out. X damage to our creature, create a number of tapped treasure tokens, equal the amount of excess damage dealt to that creature this way. Plundering Barbarian, 2 great options. ETB, destroy an artifact, or make a treasure token. Crush Contraband, get rid of 2 things, exiling an artifact and an enchantment. Visions of Ruin, every opponent sacrifices an artifact. 2 bad opponents. For each opponent sacrifice 1 this way, make a treasure token. On top of that, flash it back for, well, not 8 red, but that's going to be 4 mana less than that, 3 mana less than that thanks to our commander, so it can help us out a lot to recast that. Cleansing Nova, very flexible for us. Choose 1 to destroy all creatures or all artifacts and enchantments. Depend on, what situation you're in. Pick the one that works for you. Austere Command, again, very, very flexible. Choose 2. Artifacts, enchantments, small creatures, big creatures, whatever you need to take out, take it out. Megaton's Fate, destroy an artifact, make 4 treasure tokens if you need to get some treasures and take something out, or 8 damage to every creature, and everyone gets 4 rad counters. Hour of Reckoning, destroy all those pesky non-token creatures, and keep our token creatures in play to dominate. Finally, Decree of Pain, destroy everything, all creatures go bye-bye, no regeneration. Draw a card for each creature destroyed this way, so that can be a lot of card draw for us. Moving on to tactic number 7, Blood Money. We can take our opponents out in no time with a card like Brazen Dwarf, a 1/3 Dwarf Shaman for 2 mana in red. Whenever you roll 1 or more dice, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So, again, we're going to be rolling a lot throughout the game with our commander. This can dish out a good amount of damage for us. Intangible Virtue. Creature tokens you get ++1 and have Vigilance. That's quite nice. Pumping our team and allowing them to stay back, to actually make sure that they can block for us too. That's quite nice. Ingenious Artilleryist, though. Whenever one or more artifacts sent to battlefield under control, deals that much damage to each opponent. So that can help us out a lot. Mayhem Devil. Whenever we're sacrificing any permanent or any player sacrifices any permanent, including treasures, 1 damage to any target. This can help us out, well, in taking out some creatures or, yes, there's our opponent's faces. Nadir's Nightblade. Whenever a token in control leaves the battlefield, every opponent loses 1 life. You gain 1 life. This can add up a lot throughout the game. Beyond Goldwaker. Other outlaws you control have Vigilance and Haste. In the beginning of combat on your turn, we can turn our treasures into 3/3 Construct Assassins. Oh my goodness. Which, of course, then have Vigilance and Haste. And, yeah, we swing out with them and dish out a ton of pain. Speaking of pain, though, Mirkwood Bats, a 2/3 flyer. Whenever you create or sacrifice a token, every opponent loses 1 life. That's going to be a ton throughout the game, wiping out our opponents in no time. Next up, though, tactic number 8, start strong. First up, there's Wayfarer's Bauble. Pay 2 tap, sacrifice, get a basic land into play tapped. Arcade Signet costs 2 and taps for 1 of any of our colors. Boros Signet can help us filter our mana into Boros colors. And then there's Orzhov Signet, which does the same, but for Orzhov. Charcoal Diamond's gonna enter the battlefield, tap and tap for a black. Fire Diamond does the exact same thing, but it taps for a white. And Marble Diamond is the exact same thing, but it taps for a white mana. Sorry, I misspoke on the Fire Diamond. That's for a red. Anyways, Talisman of Conviction can tap for a colorless, or we can tap and it deals 1 damage to us, but it gives us a red or white mana if we need to filter it in that way. Crime Novelist can just supercharge our treasures. A 1/3 Goblin Bard. Whenever we sacrifice an artifact, put a counter on this, so this can become absolutely massive, and we add a red mana. So basically, our treasures now are adding 2 mana instead of 1. Inspiring Statuary, though, an artifact for 3. Non-artifact spells you have improvised, so all of our artifacts can help them, well, just by tapping and helping cast those spells for a lot cheaper. Finally, though, tactic number 9, great land. I'm going to be highlighting Underdark Rift, a very simple land that, well, doesn't really take up a spot in your deck, but can really help us out. It can tap for a color, so we can pay 5 tap, exile, roll a d10, put target artifact, creature, or planeswalker into Ensorcer's library, just move the top X cards of that library, where X the result, activate only as a sorcery. So a way to temporarily, or even permanently, if the player shuffles and never sees it again, essentially, get rid of some pesky artifact, creature, or planeswalker, and also potentially trigger our commander with that rolling of a d10. Most likely getting, maybe a 4 or above, or yeah, even a 6 or above, and getting us a lot of value. And with that, this episode is coming to a close. Comment below with your thoughts on it. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.